Yes, I hope we are live. So let me check for the last time. Yes, I hope we are live. So let me start greeting you. Okay, now I think everything is going to be okay. So, hello everyone, and welcome to today's live session. It's great to have you all here. And in this stream, we're going to walk through a hands-on lab focused on Microsoft Fabric Lakehouse. And this will be a practical and step-by-step session. And by the end, you'll have a solid understanding of how lakehouses operate inside Fabric. So before we start, let me give you a quick overview so we are all aligned. I think it's also good to introduce myself. My name is Ilgar Zarbaliev. I'm data platform, Power BI, and M365, Microsoft 365 MVP and MCT for 6 years, and MCT community lead. So traditionally, large scale analytics were built on data warehouses using relational tables and SQL. But with the growth of big data, high volumes, lots of data types, and fast moving information, data lakes became popular because they store raw files without a strict schema. Today, many data teams want the best of both approaches. And this led to the data lakehouse concept. So, data stored as files in a lake, enhanced with the relational metadata layer, so it can still be queried using familiar SQL. So, in Microsoft Fabric, the lakehouse offers scalable OneLake storage and uses Delta Lake to manage tables and views. This lets us combine flexible file storage with structured schemas and SQL querying, just like in a warehouse. And this lab we are about to complete will take around minimum 30 minutes, maybe a little bit more, and I'll guide you through every step. Now let's get started. And I'm going to open my Fabric environment. Actually, I have already opened it. To open my Fabric environment, I can either use app.powerbi.com. In this case, here you will see Power BI, or I can, type on any browser like app.fabric.microsoft.com, right? But just pay attention here, you will see this Fabric icon. But anyway, if I, sorry, pay attention, I mean, if I click here, you will see my email address. This is the domain, my work email address domain. And you see, I have this free trial option. So Uh, actually, Microsoft gives me the opportunity to use a 60-day trial version of Fabric running on trial capacity equivalent to an F64 license. So I'm going to activate this one, say free trial and activate. It's going to be activated and say stay on current page, right? And by the way, the labs that I'm going to demonstrate or perform to are available on Microsoft Learn documentation. So this is Microsoft Learn for Microsoft Certified Fabric Analytics Engineer Associate. So here you can find the 4 learning paths for Fabric Analytics Engineering. So if you click here, get started with Microsoft Fabric, you know, pardon, you have some sub learning paths, and today's say lab is located here. So here you can get this exercise. Just create a Microsoft Fabric Lakehouse. So let's go back. Let me click these ones. But before getting started, I think it's also worth to tell you that this lab are in the frame of Fabric Database project. And I have shared this link with you on YouTube. So here you can find the necessary info about this, Fabric Database project. For example, you can find the study groups, live sessions in English, in Spanish, in Portuguese. You can request your, 100% discount percent for exam voucher, so on and so forth. So now it's time to go back to our Fabric environment. And here, just pay attention. We are in, Power BI service. But what can we do? We can say, for example, let's go to Fabric, and we are in Fabric environment, right? So let's get started with our lab. So, so the aim of today's lab is just to create a Microsoft Fabric Lakehouse, right? So for creating a lake house, we have to firstly we have to create a workspace. So here we see our workspaces, right? Let's click on here, and there is no workspace. And let me click on new workspace, and here I'm going to name my workspace, and it's going to be lake house with small, letters. And let me give a little bit description. Say lab purpose only. And here I'm going to click on advanced. And I have to be sure that as I activated my trial version, so I have to be sure that I have selected this one, trial. And by the way, if you have premium per user license, you can use it. And also, if you are in premium capacity, you can also use it. By the way, before this session, I I tried to perform this lab using my premium per user license. Unfortunately, at the end of the session related to new Visual SQL query, I had a problem. I hope with this trial one, I'm not going to face this challenge. But if I change, I mean, if I face this challenge, so just I'm letting you know about this issue, and most probably this issue will be in shortest period of time will be solved, right? So I say apply. Thus, I'm at the point of creating my Lakehouse workspace with trial capacity, right? So I can say got it. And here, if you pay attention, so this is my lake house, and there is nothing, right, in my lake house. Got it? So the next step is just creating my lake house. So to create a lake house, if you pay attention here, let me say home, you know, if you pay attention, here I have, a button create. Actually, let me, I don't see this button. In this case, I can click on here on ellipsis, and I can activate this create, button. Okay. Um, so now let me go back once again and open this lake house, right? And here, let me activate this create button once again. And I say, lake house, right? This is the lake house that I'm going to create. Okay. And so I'm going to call this lake house as, just simply lake house, right? So let me give this one lake house, say lab, right? And okay, sorry. I think I just wanted to underscore. I think it's going to work. And I have to be sure that this one is the select. I mean, is not selected. Lakehouse schemas public preview and say create. Thus, my lakehouse is going to be created. So here I see my lakehouse, explorer, right? This is my Lakehouse Explorer. If I go to my workspace, let me go my workspace. This is my, Lakehouse workspace, and here I see my Lakehouse lab, Lakehouse. So once again, going back to this one here, I'm in the my Lakehouse Explorer, right? So I see tables and files. These are empty. Nothing is there. Just let's pay attention. Here it says that successfully created SQL Analytics endpoint. We will understand it a little bit, after some moments. So here we have Lakehouse and SQL Analytics endpoint, and we'll understand it. So tables folder is one, contains tables, sorry, that you can query using SQL, just semantics. And tables in Microsoft Fabric Lakehouse are based on the open source Delta Lake file format and commonly used in Apache Spark. And we have also files folder. This one contains data files in the OneLake storage for the lakehouse that aren't associated with managed Delta tables. We can also here, create shortcuts in this folder, files folder, to reference data that's stored externally. So now, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, there is no file either in tables or files. So the next step is uploading file. So how to upload file? Just let me give a little bit explanation. Fabric actually provides multiple ways to load data into the lakehouse, including built-in support for pipelines that copy data from external sources and data flow Gen 2 that you can define using visual tools based on Power Query Online. But in this case, the easiest way is just to upload the file. So what file to upload? I'm just going to share one link in YouTube, right? So this is the, source file. Actually, I have already, shared it in the, say, YouTube. So let me make a copy and paste on this browser, right? So let me go back once again. And here I'm just going to save this file. This file is in CSV format, comma separated value format, right? So I'm making right click and say save as. Actually, before this session, I just tried to implement all the steps that I'm explaining to you right now. I have already save this file on my desktop, right? So let's do it once again and pay attention here. It says House Explorer in Lakehouse. And here I'm selecting files, actually clicking on ellipsis. And here I'm creating or building a new subfolder, right? And I'm going to call it, data, right? It's going to be data subfolder. Okay. And you see, this is a data subfolder, and I'm going to click on here, and I see upload, and say upload files. And the files, sales files that I have downloaded into my desktop, I'm going to, upload this file. Here I'm browsing and selecting this sales CSV file, say open, and say upload. I'm waiting for a while. This is 3 megabyte file, and it has already been uploaded into my data sub folder under files folder. I'm closing this one. Sorry. If I go here, let me open this one. You see my sales CSV. If I click here, my data is going to be, just say displayed. From here, I can change its format to table view. But actually, this is not the way that I wanted. Now, the next step is giving info about exploring shortcuts. Actually, I am not going to apply any shortcut, but I'm going to show you how to do it. So here I'm going back to my data, you know, I'm clicking on this, and here I have my sales CSV, ellipsis. I'm clicking here. Actually, I'm not clicking here for now. Let's go actually to files, and here I'm clicking on ellipsis. You see new shortcut, right? And if I click here, I know the available sources for creating a shortcut. A little bit info about shortcut once again. In many scenarios, the data you need to work with in our lake house may be stored in some other location, right? In other locations. So while there are many ways to ingest data into the OneLake storage to our lake house, another option is using or creating a shortcut. And shortcuts enable us to include externally sourced data in our analytical solution without the overhead and risk of data inconsistency associated with copying it. So now we see the possible, ways of creating, say, shortcuts. So I'm just going to skip this step, closing it. Now, what I'm just going to do, I'm going to load file data into table. So my data, here I have my sales CSV file, and I'm going to, upload it to tables. Why? The question is why? While my uh, file data is here under files, subfolder. So here, data analysts and data engineers using Apache Spark can query my file, my data. When we integrate or migrate, or I don't know, to move or upload our data into the tables one, we're going to have an opportunity to query our data using SQL. So for this purpose, I'm just going to, upload my sales CSV file into my tables. So to do it, what I'm just going to say, to do. So here I have my sales CSV and ellipsis. I'm clicking on this, load to tables, and say new table. The name of my new table is going to be, this one, sales one. And pay attention, my separator is comma, and I say load. Thus, the sales file is going to be, you know, loaded into my tables. Now we don't see anything here. As soon as it's completed, we will see something here. So sales file, actually. And then we will be able to view them. Okay, now everything is completed successfully. Let's click on here, and in the table view format, a data of a sales file is going to be available, right? Sorry. And let's say that if we, let's click on here. If we say view files, we see that, you know, files for Delta table are stored in Parquet format. You see, in Parquet format, and include a subfolder, Delta log. This one. in which dates of transaction applied to the table are logged. So I'm going back once again here. And now it's time, to query our tables. And we are going to do it using just SQL. So how to do it? Actually, we can do it using select statements. So for this purpose, let me first of all close this one, right? And now what are we going to do? Here, just pay attention. If you remember, I was talking about this one. So I'm going to switch this lakehouse into SQL Analytics endpoint, right? So a little bit new window is going to be available. Okay, that's perfect. So the next step is, opening new SQL query. So here we see, if I click on this, I see new SQL query and new visual query. If you remember, I told you in the beginning of this video session that there was a bug issue or something. I don't know the reason. I mean, there were some issues that I couldn't implement this one, new visual query. I hope using trial capacity, this license type, I will be able to do it. So also, let's click here under DPO. We see our tables. This is our sales table. So we can write SQL query to query our table. So let me select this one. If I click on this, a new SQL query is going to be available. So I can say select, say item. Okay, 30 minutes. Select item. And here I'm going to use my sum function. And I say that my quantity times by unit price. So I say quantity times by unit price and closing parentheses as revenue. I think revenue, enter. And I'm going to say that from sales, enter, and group by, say group by item. And the next line, on the next line, I say order by revenue in descending order. And semicolon, or yeah. And now what I can do, I can just, run the query. And thus, I'm going to get some values here. Yeah, here I'm going to see my items with their revenues, right? So it means that in the results, these results show us total revenue for each, product. And the last step of today's, say, lab session is creating a visual query. And I hope we are going to be successful in creating visual queries. So for this purpose, it's enough. Just pay attention here. I have my queries, SQL query one. Here, I'm clicking on the drop down button and say new visual query. And to create new visual query, we have to, just bring this sales table into this part. What this is the problem that I couldn't do it before this session. If this is the same error in this lab, so I will end my session. So let's try. Yeah, now it's going to work. So the problem is that actually we, found our mistake. When you are using your premium per user license, here you are going to have issue. But when you are using Fabric trial license, there is no problem. That's perfect. Where we must be lucky. So this is what I mean. This is all about querying data using Power Query online, right? I mean, sorry, we are visually querying our table. So let me make a little bit bigger. Sorry. So the next step is select choose columns from manage columns. So I'm here, I'm clicking on drop down and say choose columns. Here I'm going to deselect all of them. I'm going to keep only this one, sales order number and sales order line number, these two ones. And I say, okay, right? So here I see one more step that is added. So the next step is, to go to transform button and here to say I'm select group by. And if we are working with Power Query, all this stuff could be familiar to us. So here, what I'm just going to say, I say that group by sales order number, this one, and new column name, it's going to be line items, right? And my operation is going to be count distinct values. And column is going to be sales order line number, which is already selected. And the next step, of course, is just clicking on this. Okay. And we see grouped rows and we see the results here. Dear attendees, we came to the end of our session, even 4 minutes before that we planned for today's lab session. So, of course, the next step is cleaning up my resources. So, for this purpose, it's enough to go to my workspaces. Here I have my workspace, Lakehouses, and I'm going to select workspace settings. And here I have my remove this workspace. Thus, I'm going to delete this workspace. Now everything is clear. So, dear all, we came to the end of today's session. And what I'm just going to do, lastly, propose, most probably it's going to be sharing SQL code with you on my, say, YouTube chat. So I have already, shared in my YouTube, channel, in the chat of today's session. So let me stop sharing. And what I'm just going to ask you kindly is just to become member of my meetup groups, where I'm inviting Microsoft people and other MVPs to deliver speech about Fabric and other Microsoft technologies. Sorry, this is my meetup group, so-called Azerbaijan Power BI and Microsoft Fabric community. Let me also to copy and share the link with you. So let me do it. This is the link for my, meetup group. And also, what I'm just going to ask you is to subscribe to my, newsletters. So here you can find very interesting, newsletters, articles related to Fabric and other Power BI, topics or technologies, features, something like this. So, okay, I'm going to stop just sharing. Yes, and that's it from my side. So let me, yeah, I'm going to close. And thank you very much. Thank you very much for your attendance. And tomorrow I'm going to have one more lab where I will be talking about medallion architecture in Fabric. See you tomorrow.